You're listening to Banter with the Boys, talking all things sports. From betting and brawls, Super Bowl to Stanley Cup Finals. Get laced up. It's time for Banter with the Boys.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Banter with the Boys. The Super Bowl has come. The Super Bowl has gone. What a game it was. As always, got my main man Smelty with me today. How we doing? How we feeling?
I mean, to be honest, I'm feeling pretty positive because I didn't end up getting selected for this 5 to 7 day jury trial yesterday. Yeah, I'm in my jury duty window or whatever. So pretty glad I don't have to, work's kind of picking up, so glad I don't have to miss that for a bit.
Yeah, that's good, dude. Jury duty does not sound like a good time.
Dude,
unless it's a nice, juicy case, you know?
He reminded me of, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming to be a veteran. I was only in the military for 30 days. But, like, it kind of reminds me of, like, the military's, like, hurry up and wait, dude. It, like, all right, let's get over here, and then you just sat, dude. It was, it was my first time for jury duty, but, man, is it boring.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Unless you're probably, like, actually on a trial or something, you know.
Yeah, but even still, like, they're just sitting there and deliberating for hours.
Man.
But let's get back to what we're here to talk about. We have Super Bowl 58. What a game it was. As we all know, Kansas City came into this game as a 2.5-point underdog, and they won the game. Game went to overtime. It was such a good, just hard-fought game. Defensive battle in the first half, then the offenses started opening up a little bit. And what a game we had, man. What are your just initial, like, reactions to the game itself?
I mean, I'm not surprised would be my initial reaction. Like, it went exactly kind of how, I don't know, I thought, I mean, there's a couple things, obviously, that'll stick out that are more surprising as others, like McCaffrey fumble. Like, whoa, that usually is not a thing this season, at least, you know? Like, that was momentum changer. But Mahomes doing what he does, I mean, that's not surprising. The pick, what was it? It said something like it was his first interception in like 220 or 40 some throws in the playoffs specifically. Like, wow.
It was just an insane number.
Yeah, it was absurd. And I mean, I would say we didn't really see anything bad from Brock Purdy. So, like, I don't know. The game really went as I thought. It was more defensive than I thought. I would say that. I thought it would be a little bit more fireworky, if that's a word, you know, offensively.
Yeah, I would agree. I really do think it would have been as well, you know, more defense than I thought. But at the end of the day, you had two of the top defenses in the league in the Super Bowl. So, but you also had two of the, you know, hottest and best offenses. Now, the Chiefs' offense in the regular season wasn't that
hottest.
Great.
That's a good term for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm just glad we got a close, hard-fought game. You know, a lot of people are complaining that the first half wasn't exciting, but that's because you don't like true football.
Yeah, I was just about to say, obviously you don't like the game of football. You don't watch football. You know, that first half was just an insane defensive battle. They had each other's number early on the defensive side of the ball. Like, nobody could really do much. I mean, yeah, San Fran was up 10-3, but it still wasn't. They didn't feel in control of the game at that point.
No, they sure didn't. And this game was going to be won and ended up being won by, you know, halftime adjustments. So the whole thing with, like, people aren't excited about good old fashioned football is I think with so much sports betting out there now, people have these parlays. They need this guy to hit the over, whatever it is, that it just kind of like it kind of blinds watching the game to a certain degree and just enjoying the game of football.
Right.
You know, it's one thing that in Minnesota with it not being legal, you know, it's like you don't get that temptation and, you know, you just get to sit there and enjoy the game of football.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, for real. And that was what it was. It gave us a nice classic game. And yeah, to much of people's dismay that we're looking for those parlays. So we've already talked defensively how great it was. We've touched offensively. I'm sure there's more to be had there. But what about these kickers, dude? These kickers played a crucial role in the game. And I'm not saying we should sit here and debate for 30 minutes about kickers, you know, but like that just goes that they needed everybody. The punters too, dude. The first half punts.
Bro,
Are
those
you
punts
kidding
were
me?
insane.
I was actually getting like, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I was like getting amped for the punts. I was like, dude, wow. And like Kev, actually, our resident non-football knowledge in general, not saying that we have all the knowledge, but non-football knowledge in general, was getting so confused why they weren't calling for a fair catch or just letting it go into the end zone at least, or attempt to let it go at the 5, you know?
Yeah, that was insane to me. That I get it. You're in the Super Bowl. You want to make that play. You look at Kadarius Toney last year. You know, it can change the game, but like you're also putting yourself and your team at risk.
And it's got to be what it is, an adrenaline thing or whatever. So you're not quite thinking like, nah, I'm gonna do something about this game right here, right now, and then either get cracked or, you know, whatever it may be. But that, like, once he started pointing that out, I was like, dude, they are literally on every punt. Nobody's fair catching this ball, dude. Like, it is all gas, no brakes right now.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. And you know what's crazy? I didn't even notice this, but I just looked at it. Both punters had 5 punts for 254 yards, which is an average of 50.8. That's insane.
That is wild.
This was just a special teams game. I mean,
and for Wojnowski, 3 inside the 20, and for Townsend 2 inside the 20. I mean, that's what I'm saying,
62.
Dude. But that first half was nuts defensively.
Oh, it was so fun.
Special teams. You saw the 2 field goals. Like, special teams played a big role. And that's why, like, when some players are like, nah, I'm above special teams. No, dude, it could make the difference. And we saw it in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have 7 field goals. All 7 were made. And, like, it was the special teams won this game. I mean, it kept both teams in the game. But it in the end of the day, you know, with the Chiefs, well, I guess they scored a touchdown. But you had the 2 longest kicks of all time in a Super Bowl in this game. It was broken by Moody, and then Butker broke it. And it was 55 and 57 yards. They weren't, you know, those are bombs.
Yeah.
And then what turned out being a very, very costly play is that Jake Moody blocked extra point.
I mean, yes, it does. At that moment in time, yes, for sure.
It changes what Kansas City has to do to get that field goal to get it to overtime, too.
And then let's talk about the overtime. That was pretty wild. So let's just like go back through it. The Niners won the toss, right? And they elected to receive.
Yep.
No. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, they did. They elected to receive, but ended up having to kick a field goal.
Yep.
And then did the Chiefs go down and then score the touchdown? Or did they kick a field goal? I can't remember.
Scored a touchdown.
They did score the touchdown? Okay, yeah. So everybody's like freaking out at the Niners because they should have kicked first or chose to kick. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's a whole new strategy because it's new rules. Thank you, Josh Allen. But it's just, what do you do? So Shanahan's thought was they get to score a third. So the third possession, if both teams score, next score wins. So it's sudden death as soon as if both teams were to go down and both kick a field goal or both kick a touchdown, right?
But just to clarify, for the first drive, it is touchdown. Like if the Niners scored a touchdown, the Chiefs still would have had a chance to go score a touchdown.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So it all depends on what strategy you want to be with. Like Shanahan's reasoning makes sense because you turn it.
What did he come out to say?
So he came out and said that he wanted the ball third.
Oh yeah. Duh. You already said that.
Yeah. So he wanted the ball third. So I mean, it makes sense to a certain degree, but at the same time, like Andy Reid and like some of the Chiefs have come out and said they've been talking about this OT strategy for a very long time.
For a while, they had a whole presentation up in front of them about overtime. Whereas some of the Niner players never really
didn't know that there
heard anything
changes
about some of these rules.
That's insane, for one. Like, that's absolutely insane that that's not brought to attention. You as a player should realize that, for one. But two, it has to, as an organization, you have to make that a focal point.
You would think it would at least come up before the Super Bowl. Like,
exactly.
You're going over every single scenario. I would imagine. We're not in the NFL war rooms, blah, 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 prior to the games, but like, or lead up to the games. But like, you would think that would come up as a point, a topic, something to mention,
Yeah, one would think it would be discussed. And then Andy Reid, so it was like, I guess this hasn't been necessarily confirmed, but a couple of the Chiefs have come out and said that if the Niners would have scored a touchdown, if the Chiefs would have scored, they would have gone for 2.
I did hear that. I heard a rumbling of that, which is another point to think about. Like, if you have all the momentum anyway, you just tied it up, why not just end the thing?
That's what so if I'm a coach, if I'm a coach, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting the ball second because I know it's not sudden death.
Sure, right.
I'm getting the ball second, and then I would be going for 2 in that case.
Sure, so you're not in the mindset of Shanahan then?
No.
You don't like the idea of, which I guess if they want to go for 2, yeah, then it's just over. Either way.
Exactly. Either way, you have an end of the game.
I can respect Shanahan's reasoning, though. The whole, like, I get it third, no matter what, if they score. Well, not no matter what. Obviously, if there's a 2-point conversion made, then it's over. But there's a decent chance that you would get it, depending on who that other coach on the other side of the field is. If it's Dan Campbell, you might not get that chance to go back on offense.
Nope. And it's like, I mean, at the same time, too, so, like, you get the ball first. Let's say you just go score a touchdown. Put the
pressure's on
the defense, and you have a pretty good defense.
That's where, like, all these scenarios matter. You talk about all this, though, before the game.
Going into it,
so that's why, like, maybe plan. Since they didn't talk about OT, they're just like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, man.
When they won the toss, like,
it's wild. And I mean, at the end of the day, Niners go down, score a touchdown. You get the ball first, score a touchdown.
So it's not like
that decision lost you the game. Who's to say if the Chiefs would have gone and scored a touchdown, you're going to match that touchdown? You know, so it's like, it's all hearsay at this point. You know, we can talk about it after the fact. None of us will ever be in the situation and make that decision.
Facts.
And again, it's like, so if Shanahan gets the ball second, the Chiefs go down and score a touchdown, Shanahan loses. They don't score, like the Niners don't score a touchdown then? Assuming, then is he to blame for not getting the ball first?
Right.
It just
of
always
course.
seems
there's always going to be something. And
especially against Shanahan.
And it's always hindsight 2020. Well, right. And now everybody's saying how much the Niners are choke artists and now because of the late leads they've given up in the Super Bowls. That's kind of, I mean, I don't know, dude. He proves to you every year, you know, producing a decent game, but like you keep letting it up late.
Yeah. Can't win the big game. But yeah, so let's get back to more, I guess, of the game itself. You know, we had some standout performances here, even with the score not as high as some people were to think. I mean, saying that, we still had a 25-22 game, so that would be...
But you didn't feel like it was going to even get that high for a while. But, I mean, you had Patty Mahomes going for 333 yards. I mean, that's not a surprise.
Yeah, 34 for 30 for 46 too. You know, the completion percentage was high.
And then that big 22-yard run late to put him, you know, in position to keep controlling the game at that point. Like Mahomes has just proven why he got the Super Bowl MVP again, right? That's his third one in 3 Super Bowls.
Yep.
That's their third Super Bowl in 5 years, was it, or 6?
6.
I want to lean towards 6, but either way,
it's 5. So the
5?
Rams have won 1, the Bucks have lost 1, and the Rams, so who's won? So the
again, we're not good at math. Like when we start thinking about numbers, you know. But even so, they've now really like cemented themselves as a dynasty. You know, we were already talking about it. The Patriots have done it before. You see in other sports, you know, I don't know, the Chicago Blackhawks in hockey, they were a dynasty. You win so many championships within those couple of years. The Chicago Bulls, another dynasty. You know, the Chiefs have now cemented themselves as being that dynasty, that new, as I dare say it, the new Patriots of this era right now, this decade we're in.
Yeah, it's wild. They 100%. I mean, so it is the last 5 years. So Mahomes,
3 and 5.
So they 3 to 5, been to 4. Lost to Tom Brady. So it's like.
So what are you gonna do about that, right? But
in the 6 seasons he's been a starter, he's been in the AFC Championship game every year.
All 6 years, yeah.
So I mean, you're in an AFC Championship game the first 6 years of your career. Doesn't appear to be stopping or slowing down in any way, shape, or form, regardless of who's around him. How can you not put him in that? It's a discussion, right? He's not anywhere close to being there. 3 versus 7, right? He's not even halfway there.
But there's something to be said on where he is right now.
Correct. He's 100%. On track.
And how old is Mahomes even? Is he like 28-ish?
I think he's 28, yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm gravitating towards, high 20s.
28.
28. And then he's had a couple league MVPs too, hasn't he?
2.
At least 2 as well. I mean, he's racking it up, dude. There's chances of a 3-peat. What are the chances? Is that defense coming back? All of them. Is Chris Jones coming back?
Chris Jones, I mean, I think Chris Jones has to debate how much are you going to chase the bag or how much are you going to want to stay with the Chiefs and continue your dynasty? He has 3 rings. What more does he has to prove as an individual player? If I'm him, I'm going to get paid.
I would at least sign 1 more year. Try for that 3-peat. You have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so let's look at Chris Jones's age. He's not a young pup anymore.
No, I know he's not young.
He's 29. So, but think of this though. So let's say he has 1 more year. He doesn't produce at the level he produced this year.
Yeah, no, now you're screwed.
And then he gets a maybe a 2-year deal at
Somebody
a half
would
to
pay him
3/4.
still.
Somebody will sign him right now for a 4-year deal. Even 3 years. The Chiefs don't have that kind of money. But rumor has it that Mahomes is going to have restructure his contract to open up more cap space, a la Tom Brady.
I guess we have to see if he does that.
Well, I mean,
because if you do that, you're just going to keep building championship teams. So if that's your goal as Patrick Mahomes to catch Brady as a personal goal maybe or whatever, and, as more of a team-oriented goal just to keep winning championships, why not?
I mean, exactly, especially with, like, the amount of money he's making off the field and how he's set up, where,
oh, yeah,
like,
dude.
you take a $10 million pay cut per year. He's losing $10 million because he's going to make the same off the field, whether he's going to get his NFL contract or not. But at the end of the day, how much money is too much money where you have to, you put winning first and that little pay bump. Now I say little, 10 million ain't little, but it is for someone like Mahomes who has a $500 million deal and has probably already made over $100 million off the field in his career.
Well, and that's just it, the off the field stuff. Who's not going to want a 3-time Super Bowl MVP and the face, not even arguably, he is the face of the NFL right now.
Not even a question.
For any sort of endorsement.
Yeah, and on top of that,
as long as you can afford him, because the line's going to be long to even get him in the door.
100%.
So, like, he can name his price, dude. To any of these big guys, he can name his price, and they're gonna pay that.
Yeah, without even question. And on top of that, wifey's making money too.
Right. So that's why it's like it's a no-brainer just to.
Now she ain't making 10 mil a year.
No, but
but I mean, at the end of the day, like Pat Mahomes is 100% a family man first. Like nobody can question that. I mean, he's probably God first. I would only imagine. But at the end of the day, like he's gonna put his family before anything. And at the same time, taking that pay cut, does that hurt your family's long run? In a sense, yeah, because that's a lot of money, and I'm assuming it's 10 mil. It's probably not that. Even 5 mil would probably do wonders in terms of restructuring
of a cap too.
But
yeah.
At the end of the day, when you're slated to make 40, 50 mil on the field, you go down to 38, and you're still making 10 to 20 off the field. Like you're set up.
You're doing all right. You're doing all right. So it's like it's more of a like, why wouldn't you then? Just why wouldn't you? What's his argument for that other than trying to set up your family even more? But like, you could definitely make the argument that if you do with it right, that didn't make sense. But if you use the money appropriately and move it appropriately, I don't know. I don't have millions, but like move it appropriately, like you're going to set them up for life where you're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, he could retire right now and they're not sweating for the rest of their lives. But it's going to be interesting. Chris Jones, where he lands is going to be interesting. He's a big piece of that defense. Really, really big piece of that defense. And I just don't see the Chiefs slowing down, unfortunately. Like, as much as I want to see some diversity in the NFL in terms of winning and whatnot.
The Bills or Ravens need to step up. If anybody else is going to come out of that AFC right now,
and the Bengals.
Yeah, and the Bengals. With a healthy Joe Burrow, the Bengals are definitely in that talk too. But it's going to be one of those 3 right now that could derail the 3-peat. But I mean, they're going to come in with a lot of momentum, and if they can get Chris Jones to stay, if they can get everybody else, I don't even know who's going to be free agents, but if they can get the team to return, why not? Why not the Chiefs again?
Yeah, for real. I mean, you can't bet against them at this point. They're already the early favorites, although we're 205 days away from the NFL season starting. The early favorites mean nothing.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It's
of course.
Depending on who you look at, I think the ESPN one it was like Chiefs, Niners, Ravens, Lions, Vikings. Bills. There was another team in like the Packers were like 7th or 8th, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll look more into that. We'll talk a little bit more into that later. Let's wrap up the Super Bowl here. And I mean, Chiefs, give them all the flowers. Dynasty in the making. Nothing more needs to really be said about that. It sucks for the Niners fans. I was rooting for the Niners. Pops wanted to see Pops get another Super Bowl.
They played well. It's not like they played bad. Yeah. They didn't necessarily lose the game. It was more the Chiefs won the game.
Better team won that day.
That's it.
Better team won that day. Hard fought battle. And my Pops also lived in San Francisco in the late 80s. So he's seen a little bit of success and he's going to be all right. Shout out Pops though.
Shout out.
So let's move into some tent talk.
911, what's your emergency?
All right, we're going to start off with some injuries. So, as we all saw, a huge hit to the Niners defense. Dre Greenlaw coming onto the field, nothing like really that you would ever see happening. Tears his Achilles, Smelty.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Dude, it's unfortunate to see, and boy, did they need him the rest of the game. But, all he did was, he was just amped. Sorry for saying so much. Wow. But he was just so amped, dude. He was just amped on his tippy toes, though, right? He was bouncing on him. He was so amped to get in the game, and then as soon, boom, in the game, bah, it just popped. It sucks. It sucks to see because, man, could they have used him the rest of the game? Because that was 5-6 minutes left in the second quarter, I think.
Yeah, it was in the second quarter.
Yeah,
What a huge hit to that defense. Him and Warner are, unquestionably, there's one duo you could make an argument for, in my opinion, the best linebacker tandem in the league. The one duo would be Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. But he's so vital to that defense. And, man, did they miss him in the second half. Kelsey started just going off, and he was sorely, sorely missed. And then news came out as well from that Niners front seven. Eric Armstead played through pretty much the entire playoffs with a torn meniscus. He will obviously undergo surgery to repair that torn meniscus, but what a freaking baller, dude.
Dude, and it doesn't surprise me that we didn't hear about it, right? Not to bring up hockey again, but did we know he was playing with it the whole playoffs?
No.
Before the playoffs?
No.
Not to bring up hockey again, but that's another hockey thing, right? You don't hear about injuries beforehand because now that's a weakness, right? And hopefully the NFL is not quite as dirty. But hey, that dude's weak over there. That's dirty, but that now. So
target it.
You don't want anybody to know that. So it's just, I was interested to see if anybody else would come out on either side, but so far it's the only thing I know I've heard of. But I thought that was wild. Torn meniscus, it would definitely be sore.
He doesn't play a position that requires a lot of low end explosiveness per se, whereas he doesn't need that quick twitch ability in the open field.
Yeah, the side to side per se.
Right.
He's more north south player, but still
But that has to be
still
so painful.
it's gonna be sore, man. But I'm sure there's different things and remedies that trainers can do and give. For players to play the game, but
props to him, man.
All the best. Yeah, props to him and all the best in the recovery.
That just goes to the true grit of these NFL players that doesn't get talked about enough. Well, that's all we got for injuries this week. Let's just get into some coaching news then. As it was, I kind of expected it. I don't see him walking away at this point. Andy Reid did confirm he's going to return as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs next year.
Go for the three-peat. You have to. You have to at least try. Even if he was thinking about retirement, which I honestly don't think he is. They're at the top of the game right now, dude. Him and Mahomes together. I think whatever comes first, whenever they start falling apart or I just don't see him leaving anytime soon. How old is Andy Reid? Do you know?
Oh, he's up there.
He's up there. So
Smelty, he loves this ish, bro.
I know. Well, I know that. Anybody can tell you that. He'll even steal your nuggies.
He'll even steal your nuggies. You better wash them fingers, bro. He just loves it too much to walk away at this point. And like you said, you can't walk away defending as a two-time reigning champion. You have to at least lose in the Super Bowl before you walk away. You just can't do that. And I don't know. I love to see it. I'm a big Andy Reid guy, bro. How can you not love the fella? Loves his cheeseburgers, the Hawaiian shirts. He's an all-around. He's just a guy that you just can't not love.
No, 100%. I loved when he was in Philly. I still didn't like the Eagles, but I don't know. I was young.
It was a fun team to watch.
There was a Donovan McNabb era year in there with T.O. and stuff. That was just really fun.
T.O., you got Brian Westbrook in the backfield.
Brian Dawkins, dude, one of the better safety.
One of my favorite players
He
of all
was
time.
fun to watch because he'll let you know he was there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's 65. But yeah, I didn't see him retiring either. But I thought it was good. Just shut it down immediately because you know those questions are eventually going to start getting asked. And then just now go to the beach, brother. Go chill. Go chill.
Go enjoy
You
some
earned it.
time and come back and win another Super Bowl because you probably will.
Might as well.
Let's move on to the Cowboys then. They did hire a defensive coordinator, someone close to you Vikings fans out there. Mike Zimmer back in the NFL as a defensive coordinator. I like to see it. I don't think he's going to be as productive as Dan Quinn, but all the talent in the world on that defense, man.
No, I would agree with you. Not as productive, but at the same time, it's not a horrible hire. This is what Mike Zimmer does best. I don't think he's one of the better HCs. I could still see him getting one more job at some point. Not with a super good team, probably, but like, you know, this is what he knows. He knows defense. So I am curious to see how it pans out with the Cowboys. He's been there before. Could be a low key hire, but you know, medium to low risk, I guess. Like you kind of already know what you're going to get from him. So let it ride, I guess. It's wild to see him and McCarthy teaming up.
That's interesting. I did not think about that until you just said that, bro. That's interesting, man. Yeah, it's like you said, he's a much better coordinator than a head coach. He doesn't have that just top-down leadership that you're looking for in a head coach, but he's produced some darn good off defenses when he was in Cincinnati. And then, I mean, the Vikings never really had a loaded talent for him defensively when he was the coach. So he put together some decent defenses.
LOL. There's some good players, though, on those Vikings defenses.
Every team has some good players.
It's true. It's NFL.
They weren't loaded with talent.
But he made it work. Yeah, he made it work.
That's what I'm saying. Like, credit to him.
You're right.
Yeah.
He made it work. You had Harrison Smith. Maybe Eric Kendricks for a little bit, you know, was one of the top middle. Don't shrug your shoulders at me.
He was never a top 5 middle linebacker.
Eric Kendricks, yes, he was. With the Vikings, yes, he was.
I wouldn't say
yes,
he was ever
We'll get
top
into that
5.
in the offseason. That's fine.
So you're going to say he's better than, like, Luke Kuechly?
No, what?
So,
no.
Okay, well.
No, top 5.
We're going to keep the receipts.
Sorry, I just, like, disgustingly just laughed into the mic, but God, all right. Yeah, we will. Now I've totally forgot where I was going with the whole Mike Zimmer. Oh, he's just not, like, as far as, like, head coaching material, he's just not quite, like, the right coach for today's players and the kids coming out of college right now. I think he's a perfect defensive coordinator, though. I think, you know, as a coordinator, it's still okay to be a little bit more old school.
Especially defensively.
Probably, that's what I mean. Defensively, I think it's fine. Like, a little more on the abrasive side, you know, maybe. But as far as head coach, I just don't think that style will work anymore in today. And that's whatever. Okay, the game evolves just like anything. But I think defensively, yeah. I think it's an interesting move to watch throughout the year.
Yeah, it's going to be because they have so much talent. So if he can even
really
maintain what Dan Quinn had, you know, like I don't expect him to go in and like make it better. But even if he can maintain it, like they have enough talent
They're
across
still
the board.
fine.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still fine.
Exactly. And then some smaller news: Clint Kubiak becomes the Saints offensive coordinator.
Another Viking tie. Yay.
Woo-hoo. All right.
Where did that get you?
All right, let's move on to my favorite segment of the week, Smelty's Bonehead of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, bonehead move of the Super Bowl. Nothing too wild, but there was a scene that was captured involving Taylor Swift's boyfriend. I mean, Travis Kelce on the sideline with old Andy Reid kind of came up yelling, maybe gave him a little with his chest, you know, but he looked more like, you know, more angry. First off, I did see something that Travis said. I don't know if you've seen what he said about it yet. Have you?
I think so.
What do you make of the situation? I want to know what you make of the situation first.
Yeah, I mean the whole situation. He's a very emotional player. It's a Super Bowl.
We know that.
So apparently, what he came out and said was like trust me. I mean, like put me in the get me in the game. Get me in down here, and that's what like apparently Andy Reid has said. But I don't know. I mean, like he was letting the emotions get the best of him.
That's what Andy Reid said.
That's what I saw today. Andy Reid came out and said that's what Travis like said to him was just like get me in the game.
Then that's conflicting. Because
Kelsey
I
say?
saw what Kelsey said, and because I don't remember whatever newscast asked him, and he was like at the game, he was still in pads and everything. Even what he said that it was caught on camera, and he's like, "Oh, you guys caught that? Oh well, we're just gonna keep that between us. I just said that I really loved him.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was
So,
obviously fibbing, saying
there must have
that.
been something wild said, right? That obviously, again, like we know he's an emotional player, we know that already. And like heat of the game, Super Bowl to be specific, right? And that was right after the fumble. So like obviously just amped, ready to go. So, I can't, it's not a crazy bonehead. I'm not like faulting him really for this, right? But like it's still like, that's your HC. Like, let's just,
This is a 65-year-old man.
that's your 65-year-old HC.
That's assault.
That you just went into it. You're a boulder yourself and you just bumped him, like.
Yeah.
Just
It was funny too, 'cause in the post game presser, like Reed was asked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, he just caught me a little off guard."
I bet.
Yeah, he's like, he caught me a little off balance, is like why he like stumbled or whatnot. But I mean, it's nobody's mad about it. Like I'm sure Kelsey apologized to him. Reed was just like, why are you apologizing? I'm sure is what he said. He's an emotional guy, especially after the emotional play, fumble down there, and I'm sure Kelsey was like, if Kelsey was in the game, it might have been the block that was like the guy that was coming off that block that Kelsey would have been making that caused the fumble or whatever it may be, right?
Right, and you said that right after it happened because we had the pleasure of watching the game together.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you, Kev.
Thanks, Kev. At Kev's. But yeah, so I don't know. It's not a crazy bonehead because nothing really happened in the game that was had because it was so great, So
Exactly. I mean, it's like it's slim pickings for the bonehead.
And honestly,
so.
I don't know. Since I had no skin in the game, I felt the refs were fair.
I thought it was a very well officiated game.
Like, I feel like the refs aren't even really on my mind. But again, I had no skin in the game, so obviously I'm not paying as close attention. But as far as the refs go, but at the same time, I didn't see anything that was like egregiously bad.
No, me neither. And of course, now the Twitter refs have come out and found 3-4 obvious holding calls that were the Chiefs. But the thing is,
dude, any game you could find that.
The thing about it, Smelty, is those guys are doing that are Niners fans. If they were to roll the tape back and look at every single time the Niners had the ball, I guarantee they'd find the same amount of plays that the Niners got away with holding.
Probably.
It's the game. There's holding on every play in the NFL. It's like, it's like, I don't know. I thought the game was very well officiated.
That's why you have to only call the blatantly ridiculous holding calls, like
exactly.
You can tell arm extended, pulling them down to the ground or something wild, like, oh, I did. That's not a pancake. He's pulling, that's
exactly.
That's a hold all day. But like you said, if you go look, I bet all 5 of them dudes are holding on every play near,
Yeah.
It depends on how fine you want it to be. And that's probably why I don't know the definition that the NFL gives, but I'm sure it's up for interpretation and a little vague, I'd imagine, because of that reason.
Yeah, and it was funny, the clip that I saw of like the calls that Casey got away with, there was one that it was like an offensive lineman. It was a hold, yes, but the guy next to him, the Niners defensive lineman, had an obvious hold on the offensive lineman.
Right. And how often?
So it was the exact same play that there's 2 obvious holding. Well, obvious when you slow it down and look at it when you're looking
right,
for
but
it.
live, naked eye, which thank God that still happens because we still have the human element in the game, which is the refs.
You have
Sometimes
to.
you hate it, right? When it's against your team. But how many illegal hands to the face at that point is the D-line given, like you could pick it apart.
You could throw a flag on every single NFL play.
Yeah, and not to go on a tangent about the refs like we just did in the middle of freaking bonehead, but like just to prove that the refs weren't boneheads in this game. I honestly thought that they called a pretty fair game, one of the most fair Super Bowls I think I've watched.
The fact that nobody's talking about the officiating with how the officiating has been this year, huge win for the Super Bowl in the NFL this year.
100%.
All right, well, let's move on from the Super Bowl recap then. We're going to move into some award reactions. As you guys all know, we did predict them last week. We thought said who we should have won, who we thought would have won, and got a couple of them right, got a couple of them wrong. We're going to kind of do, again, just a little lightning round in this one. There's not much to talk about because we already explained why we thought the guys who won should have. But just a quick reactions here. So MVP Lamar, we were both on par with this one.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Like, that is just nothing even. Yeah, cool.
Yep. Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey won it. I thought it was going to Tyreek. I think Christian was more deserving. I just think him being in the MVP nominee hurt him, but Christian was deserving.
Yeah, I was cool with him or Tyreek. Yep, 100p.
Defensive player of the year. This is where there's some debate. TJ Watt should have won this award.
I agree, dude. He even missed a couple games, and he still led the league in sacks.
And it's like across the board, almost every statistical, like actual stat, TJ Watt had better than Myles Garrett. When you look at the new numbers, the Pro Football Focus that looks at the actual impact outside of statistics, Myles Garrett fared a little bit better, but he also had more games to do that, so those rankings are going to be higher.
And you could argue that Myles Garrett is the main, that's the nucleus of your defense right now for 100%. The Browns. So that there's something to be said about that, but. Dude, yeah, I totally agree with you. I thought it was TJ Watt's to lose. Obviously, he did lose it, but it's not that Myles Garrett isn't deserving, I would argue. It's just to me that Correct. I thought TJ Watt was more deserving.
Yeah, and the people are, Alex Highsmith, he has him on the other side. That's why that's so good. Yeah, Myles Garrett has the Darius Smith.
Right. Who's no slouch, as we both know.
Yeah. Moves us over to the rookies. Offensive Rookie of the Year. CJ Stroud won this award. Puka should have won it, in my opinion, but I'm not mad at CJ.
Well, and it's just about the records for me, honestly, that Puka went off and was able to obtain this year. But I'm not mad about CJ. You can't argue against that. You really can't, other than Puka's records. That's it. That's your only argument, and 50-50 on if you win that argument or not.
Exactly.
And obviously it didn't win. And CJ Stroud won, and I'm cool with that because he led a Houston Texans team to a playoffs that it hasn't seen in a hot minute. And I think
and a win.
And got a win. And the future's bright. So
yeah.
I'm cool.
Move over to the defensive side of the ball. Third time in NFL history, we have had a player from the same team win the both offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year. As we all know, happened last year. Yeah, last year with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. Will Anderson on the Texans won this award. I'm not mad at it. I thought all five guys should have won the award. They all played their tails off this year. So, Will Anderson was deserving.
No, he was. And for me, it's the same argument that I just made for CJ Stroud. The Houston Texans were not much. We're not much. And you add these two guys, and now you have cornerstone pieces to build around on both sides of the ball. It's same deal. Future's bright. I'm not mad at it. But like you said, all five, honestly, were deserving. And I feel like that's usually the case for Defensive Rookie of the Year. You're going to have a couple guys that are just outstanding. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, like you said. And then the probably most... so we got two left here. One of the most debated was Coach of the Year, which was won by Kevin Stefanski. I had... D'Amico Ryans and Dan Campbell ahead of him, but now that I look back at it, after all the adversity the Browns had this year with quarterbacks and whatnot, I'm not mad that Kevin Stefanski won it. He was deserving of it. I just thought Dan Campbell and D'Amico were a little bit more deserving.
I don't have much to add to that because I totally agree. He was my number 3. I did put him at 3, but I agree. Texans and Detroit both I thought were worse situations that both coaches unlocked something. Dan Campbell's been building something there and has proved every year. Ryans came in again to a team led by rookies, as we just saw, and was able to do something with it. So I think there's something to be said about that. But, again, like you said, not mad at Stefanski. I did have him at 3. Maybe they couldn't pick between the other two, and they were just like, let's just give it to Kev.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Probably what it was. And then the last one here, we have the Comeback Player of the Year. This was won by Joe Flacco, who I thought was deserving of it. I thought it was going to go a different direction, and I'm glad they got it right with this one. Like I've previously stated, DeMar Hamlin has won in life, and he has the sweet victory of being able to wake up. So he deserving of it from what the award means? No, because he didn't really play for Comeback Player of the Year, but I'm happy to see he's still in the league, and footsteps came in and just stole this award.
Well, and like you said, it's not like he played much before the injury, we can call it, anyway, but and then he didn't play much after. So did he really come back? He definitely came back to life. That's 100% for sure. And I actually have a friend that argued this to me the other night that DeMar Hamlin should have won the award, but and I get it. It's a great argument, but as far as the definition of what the award is, Joe Flacco literally came off his couch and led a team to the playoffs, coming back from not playing. I don't even think he played at all last year, did he? Or was that his last year in the NFL? That might have been his. I honestly can't remember.
He played with the Jets last year.
that might have been his final season, but like he was retired, he was done, and he came back. That's the true definition of the award. Baker, you could make the argument for as well, since he obviously did not play super awesome last year. Came back from that to play really well. Similar deal to like Tua, right? Come back from the injuries, played really well. I think the right guy won the award. I'm not taking anything away from Damar Hamlin, but it wouldn't have been wrong if they gave it to him.
No, it wouldn't have been. But they got it right.
But right.
Well, that's all we have for the award reactions this week then. So we're going to wrap up this podcast here. Our parting thoughts on the NFL season. It was what a season we had. We're going to talk a little bit about my Packers, a little bit about your Vikings here, and just kind of the season as a whole. And we'll start with my Packers. We're gonna kind of put what one word would describe the season for you. And my one word this year was emotional. As you can tell by the podcast that we had, it was an absolute roller coaster for me with Jordan Love, with Joe Barry, an absolute roller coaster, highs, the absolute lows. And, if I were to have to pick an honorable mention, it would be promising, just because of what the adversity we did like overcome with having the successful second half of the year. We have no big name free agents that are off the book or on the books, or that we need to re-sign. Very little cap space. We could work that out a little bit, hopefully, with Bakhtiari and his future. But it's I'm really, really, really looking forward to what this Packer team has to bring. We're so young. There's so much potential really across the board at this point, outside of the safety position. And the early season favorites already have us as, I saw one that was the Packers were the 4th, one the Packers were the 6th, and one the Packers were the 8th in the rankings. So
overall, like in the league,
like projecting next year,
AFC and NFC though.
Correct.
Both? Yeah.
In the NFL. Yep. Which I love to see. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan Love is like 5th or 6th highest favorite to win the MVP next year as well. He's tied with Brock Purdy for the odds at, I believe, plus 1,300.
Tied for what place?
Brock Purdy. I think it's either like 4th or 5th.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and then I think Purdy and J Love. If I'm not mistaken, I very well could be wrong in that I'm not looking at the numbers. This was based off of an Instagram post I saw. But like I said, emotional but promising at the same time, man. How about you and your Vikings?
I mean, the word, I guess, concern comes to mind when it comes to the way things went this season. Obviously, we don't really have a quarterback situation figured out yet, and we are in February, so we got time, but we don't have one figured out yet. You got JJ's contract situation, obviously all over the news, as far in the sports world anyway. So I guess another word that comes around is like responsibility. Like Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, the GM, they have a responsibility to figure this thing out here. Like we're so used to mediocrity here in Minnesota with our sports. The past the city of Minneapolis has the highest amount of games through the 4 major sports to not have a championship or something like that.
Last time was the Twinkies in the 80s, yeah?
That was playoff games. Or sorry. 1991, the Twins won the World Series. Yep. So yeah, concern and responsibility. Concern that we're not where we need to be. Do I think that's a little bit different? Is that word different if Kirk Cousins doesn't get injured? Probably. But now you have that 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles, somebody who does take care of their body religiously. Not to, put a knock on him because he is a very religious man as well. But he takes care of his body. You see that with a lot of players nowadays. So is it bad to bring him back? Not necessarily. But again, goes to that other word of responsibility for KOC and Kwesi. They're responsible for making that decision. Do you bring back Kirk Cousins? Do you draft the quarterback of the future? Do you re-sign or do you trade Justin Jefferson? That is your responsibility. And they're in that position, and we're about to see if they're worth the dollar amount they're paid to make that decision.
I love it, Smelty. Well, everybody, it's been an absolute pleasure to be by your side this year for the NFL season. We do apologize for not being with you every single week. We'll get that straightened out next week or next year. I'm sorry. We'll full force. we'll be back with some off-season talk, especially as soon as the, draft season approaches and kind of is quickly upon us. But in the meantime, Smelty, we have another podcast that's going to be coming out here. Not next week. We're taking a week off.
Believe it or not.
We have a week off here, but the F1 season is quickly approaching. I'm going to change gears a little bit here, switch over to F1. I know this is a football pod, but I want to plug the other pod we're having here. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back with the F1 pod. We're going to recap and kind of predict, look into every single race this year. So it's going to be a kind of wishy-washy schedule. There might not be a podcast every week as the F1 season doesn't have one every week. We're going to bring on a new guy onto the pod here, bring back somebody that we've heard before. We're looking forward to it, and we hope that you guys all tune in. Like I said, give us a week off. It's been a long season. Can't really make that excuse because we haven't been doing it all season. But
hey, we've been solid since like week 6, 5, something like that. We were close.
Yeah, like week 9, but that's
Before
all right.
We did a couple though.
Yeah, we did a couple.
And then we were like, all right, we got hanker in, buckle up.
But yeah, it was our absolute pleasure to talk football with you guys all this year. We'll be back next year with football. Stay tuned for a couple different appearances throughout the off season here. Check out the Facebook group. They have the Facebook page. We'll keep you updated there. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. We love the following. We only want to grow and make this better. Smelty, it's been a pleasure, my brother.
It has been a pleasure. We'll see y'all next season.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.